Hello again, everyone. Melth here, continuing my Baldur's Gate 3 challenge run, details of which are in the YouTube video description. Watch out for spoilers throughout this run. I'm going to show a little known secret this time and demonstrate a way to get into the Yankee Creche while skipping the entirety of the monastery, which we'll save for later. This is one of my favorite areas of the game. Besides just being beautiful, I think it has some really well designed quests and a lot of very fun encounters too. Now, let's talk about one thing, which is that we just traveled through this little gateway there, which healed us up, among other things. Now, that's not technically against the rules of my, no rest run, but I'm going to try to treat that like a rest and try to avoid it. Now, normally I would now injure myself back to where I was before to get back to the same hit points, but if I want to do a short rest now anyway, which will put me back at full health no matter what, so might as well just do that and call it square. When I travel, I'll get Song of Rest back, but I won't be abusing that. I'll only use it once per act, so this is my one Song of Rest done. A few other things that happen too, you lose concentration on spells, like Magic Weapon is gone now, and Hex is gone. Also, Disguise Self is gone, but Shovel's still maintaining concentration on Invisibility, so it is pretty weird and kind of arbitrary feeling what things get cancelled off when you travel and what things don't. I've never found a complete list of it either, I just kind of have noticed some things by experience. Alright.
No time to rest.
So I have a way to skip all encounters on the way to the Yankee Creche, but there's one that I want to just do for fun, so I will go ahead and do that once we get past the little cutscene here. Be on the lookout for Tirsu markings on the ground here. I've never spotted them myself, but she'll claim that they are there.
Tirsu script scratched in the ground. As I expected. A Creche must
Yeah, we already knew about that, of course. That's part of why we're here, along with tracking Ravengard, who was dragged through here.
Githyanki writing. Every word a wheel. Every letter is spoke. The most powerful texts are engraved in slate. Some so ancient, only the most erudite Gish can read them.
I do find that peculiar, because if you think about it, the Githyanki have mostly lived on the astral planes even before they were Githyanki. Before they speciated into Githyanki and Githzerai. And on the astral plane, time does not pass and people do not age. One of the upsides of which is that the first Githyanki, a lot of them are still alive. Whoever invented this language is still alive. So, I wouldn't expect the language to change the same way that most mortal languages do. As old generations die off and new ones change the way things are pronounced, change the way things are written, and so forth. Because the people who originated the script are still writing it. And still teaching it, presumably.
Very well. You may lead. But if we stray too far...
This is a warning, I think, that if you try to go into Act 2 without going to the Creche, she will leave the party. There might be ways to avoid that, I'm not sure. I haven't really done much with Leiboing Zell before. So, up until now, things were picturesque. Take a left turn to this path, and things are just strewn with trash, corpses, slave cages, things like that, because that's back to Goblin Town. The upside of which is basically there's no difference of coming from the Goblin entrance versus the Githyanki Garden entrance we just came from. You just end up in the exact same spot. But the reason we delayed going here until now is that if you come here, as I mentioned before, it advances immediately the Goblins versus Druids quest, and also Joaquin's Rest burns down. So I want to take care of those things first so we don't miss out on it. Now there's a very fun puzzle battle coming up ahead here. Let us go into stealth mode so that we can see where they're watching us from and not aggro them prematurely. Let me talk about what we're up against here. So there are two Death Shepherds. Death Shepherds are a little bit complicated, but they're very dangerous enemies. They have a decent strong melee attack, pretty good armor class, but really what's strong with them are their abilities, which I always enjoy. I like when enemies are challenging because of their special abilities rather than just because of raw stats in any kind of game. So, a little bit complicated here. Two things give them resistance to different things in different circumstances. Necrotic Veil, while they have these temporary hit points, they resist basically all damage, except for Radiant. But we don't really have much Radiant damage. I mean, Karlach can shoot a Guiding Bolt for about 14 Radiant damage. That's about all we've got. And that's only a single target. Now, I want to point out something about how the resistance works. Let's say hypothetically you had an attack that did 70 damage before resistance. So resistance applies it is halved to 35, right? Now 20 of that will break through the temporary hit points. So you might wonder, does the remaining 15 get doubled back to what it would have been now that the resistance is gone, or does it still just get reduced to 15? The answer is it stays at 15. So the upshot is try not to overkill the temporary hit points. It will waste damage, basically. Even once you break through the temporary hit points, it still have this. It gives an aura, making all undead, including themselves and each other, resist both magical and non-magical weapon attacks, basically. So that will really hurt to start if it's a range damage dealer. But the most interesting about them is actually that they have this ability called No Rest for the Wicked, which is a bonus action that lets them revive another undead with full hit points. So if you have whittled one of them down, it's useless. The other one will just revive it immediately. What you have to do is take them both out at once, basically. And that's easier said than done when they're this tough. So coming up with a good way to do that is important. It's also important to note these ghouls are no slouches either. Ghouls can paralyze you when they attack, which is really dangerous. If you're paralyzed, you're basically one step from death, because any enemy will auto-hit you and auto-critical you. So you'll be dead in 1 or 2 attacks, basically, from there. So you need to avoid being meleeed by ghouls. It's not worth the risk. Also up ahead there's a Ghast, who's kind of a super ghoul that besides that same paralyzing attack, but better, and more hit points, also makes them all resistance to being turned, and also has a very dangerous ability that makes it so that if you're near him, you have to make a fortitude saving throw or just lose your actions, which is devastating. So, they're all melee, we better keep them all off of us until we can take out both the Esther at once, and then the encounter will crumble. My plan is, my druid is kind of low on spell slots, my ranger is pretty fresh, so he's going to cast a Spike Growth. Now, positioning matters. You might be tempted to put it here at this intersection. That's kind of a bad idea, though, because this pathway here would then allow them Sorry. This pathway here would allow them to circumvent most of your spikes, or this one around the wagon. So it's better to put it, I think, over hereabouts, where they can't get around it. And then I think we want to maybe exit stealth mode. We won't just have a fair fight with him, basically. So maybe I'll go out of stealth, walk forward. There we go. Oh, not everyone exited. There we go. Okay. So basically the gas beat us in the initiative, but the Death Shepherd's rolled low. That doesn't really matter very much. Nothing we do here matters all that much, because we can't do anything until both Death Shepherds die at once, which is not happening for a long time. I guess I'll just start putting the damage on this guy, at least. Or not. I don't think it's worth boosting my accuracy for this, because I can hold them off for a while with these spikes, so I'll probably do that. He's probably going to just dash forward and then maybe activate his Stinking Cloud and then stay put. Sacred Defiance makes them basically unturnable. You wouldn't want to try turning on them anyway, I would say, because it won't really be very effective. And also, you know, for me, the alternative to doing turn is to blast people with full damage lightning bolts, which is way better. So I'll never really use turning.
I am fury. I am death.
I think the last thing I want to do is blast this guy with Eldritch Blast for 2 reasons. One of them is that it'll actually do full damage once he has lost his temporary hit points, and one of which is that'll push him back, which will make it harder for everyone else to hit him. So, let's not do that. Let's just throw a spear at this guy. Oh, you know what I forgot to do? I forgot to reactivate Wild Shape now that I'm out of... now that I have restored my Wild Shape charges, that is. So let me do that. It'll cost my action. Not ideal, but it'll be important for the rest of the combat. It'll be worth it overall, I think. We're at low ground here, which is not great, but we can stall them here for a while, so it'll probably be okay.
I got this. Count on me.
Path interrupted by that tree. Very well.
Go on.
We're getting through. Okay. Now, I could Hex him, which would do pretty good damage, but the thing is... twofold. One, I plan to split my attacks up a fair amount here, I would say. And then also, I don't plan to do everything here in this entire zone before returning, because that would get me to do a forced rest, basically. I want to avoid that, so we'll probably want to do a couple things here before going back to the previous zone. And that would then end Hex if I was casting it, so it's not as efficient to cast it as it normally would be. I could throw out a Fairy Fire once they're all grouped together to make them all easier to hit, and I might do that. But I think for now, I'll just try to poke this guy with an offhand shot, see if I can just break through his resistance. No? Oh. Well, in that case, a lot of damage will be wasted, but I'll just blast this guy twice, and that should break through his temporary points at least. Okay, they'll probably dash up to the spikes, but most likely not into them. They will sometimes eventually decide to dash through, but for now they'll probably just stall themselves out on the other side of the spikes, which is what I want. This also means they're going to be grouped up for convenience for things like fireballs or lightning bolts or smoke powder bombs. I've ever seen them actually do that attack before. A little bit problematic, because it means they do have a way to attack me here, which could break the concentration on the spikes. So I better make sure they can't do that again. How does it work exactly? So it's an attack roll. He was hit. So they had to high roll to hit his armor class, but I can't count on them missing that. So I better take them out before they do too much more of that. I wonder why it's never occurred before. Could be a good time to shoot an acid arrow and maybe weaken some of them, although it won't splash onto the spikes. I'll try it. Yeah, it lowers his armor class, so that's good. They will be halving the damage here, so it's not going to make that big a difference, but we'll just start working on him, then we can finish him off, hopefully along with the other guy. And then maybe get behind cover to where they hopefully can't hit at all.
This will do nicely.
Alright, Ghast, you're probably going to stop short. Yep, okay.
Swift and lethal.
Sometimes
So,
the way out is
the problem is I can't get to this one, because he's way in the back. I also probably want to make them waste their time reviving ghouls rather than blasting away at a starting with those range attacks. So what will my option there be? I could throw a smoke powder bomb at them for pretty good damage now they're all clustered up. I might have Karlach do that. Also, could I have Karlach hypothetically get to that one? 50-50 shot is probably not worth it. Yeah, I don't want to risk a first level spell slot on that, although it would be helpful to break through his ward aura faster. But if I throw a smoke powder bomb thereabouts, come on. I know there's going to be a spot that can hit both Death Shepherds, but I really want. That should do pretty well. Let's try. Didn't hit the other Death Shepherd. Okay. Unfortunate. Then run back, I guess.
Aye, aye. I will ascend.
Can you throw a spear at the important one? Path is interrupted. Could get in range otherwise. Over here might work. Is there any pixel that will work? No, there's not. Okay. You know what? Maybe you should... You could throw a void bulb, throw up an alchemist fire. Let's do that. Let's set him on fire, and hopefully that will help. Didn't expect it to hit. Doesn't really matter very much.
can't even catch my breath.
So I want to kill ideally one or two of these ghouls while also severely damaging the Death Shepherd. That'll probably kill a ghoul. That will maybe kill a ghoul. Now I get extra attacks. Can I now get to you? I can. Okay. We'll work on your temporary hit points. Again, there's no point in killing this one until the other one goes down, too. If anything, it's counterproductive. He'll basically go from being 19 HP to being back at full HP if we do that. Alright, we're going to dash into the spikes and die. They do resist damage, but not once they get out of the aura. We can also just push them back easily with shove or repelling blast, so. Also notice they get up in initiative order sometimes when they get revived, which can be bad for you too. But this is all as expected. Alright, please dash closer. Yes, okay, that's good.
Over here.
Alright, if I were to kill this ghoul in one shot, there should be another... Ah! Wait, why did that do so little damage? He's not in the aura. He is in the aura, okay. I badly misjudged that. I thought he was not in the aura somehow. Okay. If I can puncture your temporary hit points, then it'll be easier than for Ballista to do full damage. There we go. Might not be able to get far enough out of range anymore. To get away from the range attacks, that is. But they'll probably be okay.
Nothing will stand in my way.
I hope you've enjoyed getting this close. Alright, one down, which gives me more actions, which means more charges, which means more damage and more everything. And they have to waste time reviving people. And then I'll walk back to a safe distance, I hope.
I will ascend.
And you can do decent damage with your throws because they do some necrotic damage, I believe. So we'll try that. Oh, do you get pushed into a spot where you can't get hit again? What if I walk over to this angle? Will that help? No? I can't hit anyone? Okay. Fine. That tree interrupts. I feel like there would probably be a way through, maybe with some other projectile arc. Not that one. Not that one. Not that one. Oh, there we go.
Taking position.
Yeah, some real damage there. Oddly enough, they don't resist necrotic. It's very arbitrary which undead do and don't resist necrotic.
Fuck yes.
That's not really a this game problem, that's a 5e problem. And 4e for that matter. I think it made more sense back when undead had negative energy, before necrotic damage existed. Things are more consistent then, at least. It's not much good killing that gas, because it'll just be back. So I'll just maybe throw a firebolt at that guy, which shouldn't kill him. Didn't even expect to hit. I'm just trying to chip him down to where he's easy to take out, along with hopefully that one. Alright, please dash into the spikes. Nope. Okay, that's fine too. The spike growth is an amazing spell, as I mentioned before. I could have these guys going to give me advantage, but I don't think it's really worth it because their initiative timing isn't working out very well. They were kind of right before the Death Shepherd, so I wouldn't get any turns where they're blinded before that wears off. Oh, he's not he's not reviving a ghoul? Uh-oh, that means he might get revived by the other one, which would be bad for me. No, interesting. I thought that it was a bonus action for them to revive the dead, but it might be an actual action. Well, that works out perfectly for me. So now we've got them. Are you still in the aura? You are not still in the aura, so if I turn that off, I can probably just instant kill you. Probably. No, I keep having low rolls on damage, which is fine. But that frees up everyone else, which is important. Wow.
Let's move.
Rotten luck there, but that's okay.
And move.
This is full damage, so that's good. And lightning will help a lot. Yeah, there we go. Okay. Now these other guys are just pretty much free kills. Lots of damage is, constantly coming from the spell sparklers. You can see why it's competitive, as I said, with Melf's first staff. I don't think I'll walk on the spikes for that. I'll just stay back here.
Time to strike.
No hurry on this. It's not about winning in the smallest number of rounds, it's about winning with the least amount of resources spent and damage taken.
Let my name be.
Oh, I didn't realize I was going to the spikes. Ah. Well, that's some of my temporary hit points lost. Oh well.
Find a route.
When you're doing long range attacks, I wish the camera was a little bit easier to zoom out so you can see what you'd actually be walking into to do the attack. That looks okay, but that one I guess is, you know what, I'm not gonna risk it. Let them come to me. We'll do it that way.
Where do I go from here?
Target is too far. Okay, we're just gonna wait. No more spikes. Alright, fine. The other way of getting rid of the spikes. There we go. I've just ended concentration on them. There's still that stinking cloud to watch out for. That lingers. Well, that went pretty well, I would say, other than that one mishap with the spike growth. Spent almost no resources, took almost no damage from a pretty tough fight there. It can go better sometimes, but that was a fairly safe way to approach it. Now, the reward for that fight is just wonderful. We get so much really good armor out of it. I mean, these guys have half plate, which is pretty darn solid to begin with. I'll just send that to camp, though, I think, because it's going to weigh me down too much. Both of them have a set of that. In this entire zone, we get tons and tons of really good armor. But this isn't even like the beginning of it, really.
Time to press ahead.
Oh, I could go for a good meal.
Pick up that spear again, our favorite kind of throw ammo. Acid doesn't matter.
I have such a headache. Light on my feet.
So there are now 2 dead Zealot of the Absolutes here, who are both wearing a set of full plate, which is incredible armor. There really is no other source of it until this point in Act 1, basically. No merchant will ever sell it that you can get it from. Until you're, I guess, level like 7 or 8, I think. So basically, if you go here, you can get it fast. Like, if you wanted to get it really fast, you can just do that fight as one of the first fights in the game even, which is doable at level 3 if you have good tactics like this. But the problem with that is that would then advance the Goblin versus Druid questline. It would also advance the Joaquin's Rest questline, so I saved it until now. But anyway, full plate is fantastic armor. It outclasses everything else we have up until this point, and most things we'll get for the rest of this act. It kind of its rivals, I would say, with the adamantine armor we'll get soon, in fact. We'll take it, and we'll read this too. Some more information about Ravengard, who we're trying to rescue here. And clear confirmation that Gortash is in league with General Thorm. Now, sadly, we can't go back to Florrick and be like, hey, the person you trust, Gortash, is actually one of the enemies. Because she's already left Joaquin's Rest. But even with this thing, we just can't ever talk with her about that. Even when she brings up how trustworthy Gortash is.
Moonrise Towers has acquired a high-value asset.
We already knew that, Ballista. Get with the times. Anyway, full plate. I'll give that to Karlach here. +1 net armor class for her. And we'll also, I guess, let's send this to camp. We've really acquired a lot of valuable treasure, and there'll be a lot more coming. This is another set of full plate. I don't know how the Cult of the Absolute got so well equipped. We'll give this to Astarion, although he can't wear it yet. See, Rangers have medium armor proficiency to begin with. There is a feature they can take to get heavy, which we'll respec to get momentarily, but we don't have it yet. So for now, he can't wear it. Soon.
Let's move.
Now, if you're doing like me, a no long rest run, avoid going down that path, or it'll be ruined. See, the Dread Wizard Elminster is waiting down there in the shadows, and if you talk to him or get anywhere near him, he'll use his dark magic to turn things into night when you try to leave this area, and you'll be forced to rest in camp so he can show up and talk to Gale. It's awful.
Bet that will fit in my pack.
These arrows are not actually like lootable and usable, because arrows are infinite in this game unless they're magic ones, so I guess they're just kind of scenery. This will basically explain that they were trying to get the Duke through here and then they summoned the undead to defend themselves, and of course that was a disaster because they couldn't control them.
The corpse regards you.
They'll never again show us its powerful summoning abilities as we fight these exact same guys in Moonrise.
I summoned them to fight against Skithyanki. Attack to buy time for the others to escape.
That's a remarkably long and complete answer. Thank you. Much more helpful than most dead people I've spoken to lately.
General Tom's orders to bring him to the Absolute. Stumbled upon them.
Just kind of a coincidence here, basically.
Interrupted training. Didn't.
This part is surprising because, like, all the cultists are coming along here to get to Moonrise, right? You'd think they would know about the Githyanki that are constantly attacking them. We see the Githyanki have captured a whole bunch of them and are just kind of torturing them and whatnot.
Leader of true souls. Chosen of the Absolute.
We know about him from House and so forth. He's clearly the armored male elf we saw in a couple of visions about the Absolute and so forth.
The corpse remains silent. It does not.
Samuel Staxford. Devoted servant of the Absolute.
The spell's power wanes. You can ask no more questions.
You think your youth will fight a few of? They're not really that dangerous. They certainly could not have taken out this group on their own. And I guess the Githyanki lost and didn't take them away for burial. We will pretend this is an impassable obstacle, even though we were high-level characters that could teleport across that, jump across that, fly across that, do all kinds of things. I, as a perfectly ordinary human being, feel like I could get across that gap if I needed to, but impossible for us adventurers. Now, up ahead here we have several merchants coming up, and some great views, too. I did some math. There's mines along here, I don't care. Walk through them, they do nothing. And don't even waste your time disarming them. Anyway. There's a merchant over here. I did some math to find out whether or not it was worthwhile to try to befriend her. To get better prices. I don't think it's worth it, although it is kind of on the fence at this level. If you're level like 4 or below, it's probably going to be worth it. But level 5, probably not.
Sweet blessing, my dear. You know.
It would be worth it if I was selling things to her, but I intend to not do that to save money overall. Just go back to the merchants I already befriended back in the earlier parts of Act 1.
Insulted? Look over there. Do you see?
One time... Oh, yeah, the visual assets kind of switched up there, which is pretty funny. We're just asking if we can see it. One time it was invisible. I could not actually see it because it's not rendered in properly.
Oh, it certainly looks that way. But inside, it is swarming with brutish, stupid, rude Githyanki.
Brutish and rude by your wretched standards, but stupid. Chocky.
It is an objective truth that Githyanki are stupid.
But it was built on what remained.
Back when all the races had different stats, everything had a generic +2, +1 to every single attributes. Githyanki had penalties to intelligence or wisdom, so did Githzerai. I remember them being minus wisdom for Githyanki and minus intelligence for Githzerai back in 3rd edition at least.
And how am I repaid? Attacked and run off like some transient. What? No, of course not. I was merely... Well... Look, it's just an egg. The Society of Brilliance.
So these are the group that Blurg and Omello were with, so Palos is intrigued now.
Once it hatches, raise the spawn in their tradition.
Please, do enlighten me. What is this tradition?
The Society believes a Githyanki raised in a peaceful, nurturing environment can overcome its violent nature. I'm sure your friend would agree. A Githyanki is as likely to forsake its violent nature as a gnome is to fly.
So, easy study at level 5.
You've been sipping from the same goblet as the Society. Perhaps you'd be willing to help then, to prove your point. They may have chased me away, but surely the Gith would welcome a person with such sympathetic views.
Sounds like you don't know the Gith very well.
And once inside, you could simply purloin an egg.
Steal one of Gith's own. I will slit your throat for even suggesting it.
I'm not talking to you. You'll be well compensated, of course. Just bring me an egg.
So, you can do that. And also, something very funny that I want to point out is if you have killed the owlbear and got the owlbear egg, it turns out you can actually give her the owlbear egg. Convince her that it's a Githyanki one, which I just found hilarious when I found that out for the first time. But the problem is, if you give her either a Githyanki egg or an owlbear egg, all Society of Brilliance people will die in Act 3 before you can get to them. They'll all just be killed by a single Githyanki or a single owlbear somehow, which does not speak well of them, but oh well. Now, I really have never talked to them before because I've only done one run in Act 3, and the one that I did, they were all dead. So I want to not do that egg quest here so I can actually, interact with them and see what they have to say. So I might just lie to her here and then not actually, help her in any way.
I suppose there is a reason I'm asking you to do it.
What? Surrender an egg, and I will not stand for it.
No disapproval, though.
Very well. Here's the money. Now, I expect a speedy delivery.
Sure would be a shame if we never saw this guy again. Just some handsome dark elf walking around.
I trust that an early payment has ensured swift action. Very well. But I'll make note of how much time you waste trawling through baubles.
So. Oh, interesting. Some good stuff there. As I was saying, I could try to befriend her, which would save me some money, but I don't think it will quite net out to be worth it. It would cost me 1,000. And then that would save me half the base value of everything that I buy from her. What I want to buy from her are as follows. This, obviously. That, yeah. And then, let's see. I could pick that up, it's okay. This is probably not worth buying. It gives you a once per short rest, weak Thunderous Smite thing. Don't really care about that. Likewise, this is only special for this one once per short rest action, which gives you a bit of healing, so that's not really worth it. This is the real prize. One of the best items in Act 1, I would say. So, it's a clothing item that can then be worn to people who don't have proficiency with armor. It can be stacked up with mage armor, which is great. It gives you +2 dexterity, which is +1 armor class on its own, and also gives you better initiative, which is amazing, and it also gives you the Cat's Grace effect, which is advantage in all dexterity checks all the time, so that's also fantastic. So I would love this for either Ballista so we can get better initiative, or for Astaria, so I'm definitely going to buy it. These boots, I'm kind of on the fence about them. I will be casting a fair amount of things like Ray of Frost pretty soon, which will trigger this pretty often for momentum, and mobility is really good, but I probably will have better boots to wear pretty fast. I think if things better than just, momentum. So I might not need those. These I definitely want. They're similar at face value to the Gloves of Power that I've got, which basically says it opposes the D4 penalty on target tackles and saving throws. But the thing is, this one has a saving throw to resist it. This one does not. This one works all the time. It also works better than advertised. See, as it turns out, it applies the penalty not just against your next spell, but to all spells cast against them for the duration. So that's fantastic. We can give this almost any character who has a bonus action crossbow attack and just shoot people to give them basically Bane, and then cast a spell at them, and they'll have a hard time resisting it. It's just a fantastic thing to have in your pocket. So definitely want that. These are so-so for a monk or whatever. These are also kind of so-so. We'll have another copy of them given to us by Glut soon, so I'll leave these alone for now and not buy them. And this just kind of says her mission, basically. So, if we were to befriend her with the cost of 1,000 gold, it would probably decrease the cost which she's asking for by about 800. Which is getting to the point where it could be worthwhile, because if I come back to her to buy more elixirs later on, which she might have when I level up, that might actually break even. So, I am considering it at least. I think that the odds of her having another good elixir are pretty small. She'll probably have a bad one, so I'll just stick with this.
Happy, are we? Very well, then.
So, let's head off down this little trail here. And who can wear the Cat's Grace clothes? If I give it to Astarian, it'll lower his armor class by way too much is the problem, because he currently has this giving him, +4, which I'll just give him +1. So that'd be a big downgrade until I get Mage Armor, which I don't currently have anyone who can cast. So I'll give it to Ballista for -1 armor class at +1 initiative. That's definitely worth it. It also helps for picking things like locks to just have advantage on those checks all the time. And we want the gloves to be on probably Karlach. These are, I think, the least good gloves in the party. So we'll give her the gloves that let her bane people on attack, and she can just bonus action attack people and trigger it that way.
Let's get going.
We can use this winch to summon a cool cable car right down the mountain, or we can walk the long way. It doesn't really matter at all.
That was tough.
We'll be going back down that path anyway and exploring things, but for now I'm just trying to show you the fast way into the Creche. All aboard. And when I say all, I mean all, people. Get aboard. Get in. Oh, where's that other loose raven? Get in. Okay.
Shouldn't have wished to live in more interesting.
We should stop for a nice little lunch.
It is pretty spectacular. It reminds us of Yosemite.
Is the world gnawing at your grey matter? We must find a creche and be purified.
We could just push you off of this thing now. Get rid of your random insults.
A little lunch.
What path lies before me?
Little shrine over here.
I'll take that.
Seeing as the place is abandoned, overrun by the Githyanki, taking these things away is probably not really robbing from the gods, but just taking things away from the Githyanki. So we'll go ahead with that. Some funny little writing things here as I recollect. I think this one was written by an absolute cultist, just kind of defiling the place. Apparently not picked up by the Githyanki, so their security is not as good as it looks. Goblins, I imagine. Only they would be so eloquent. Let's see, we can also pick up the Blue Jays find, skipping the Blue Jays quest. I think we go over this way. And we'll talk to the Blue Jay anyway when we come back, but for now we'll keep it simple.
Want me to carry you?
It's a tricky survival check, but we can just dig, so.
Please, I can barely manage my pack. You'd kill me.
We should just give you an elixir of giant strength, shouldn't we? Just kind of random treasure. Not really that good. Not worth the trouble of the quest, I would say. Certainly carrying a lot of heavy stuff now that I can pass on to someone else. So Rosamund Monastery is one of my favorite parts of the game, and I'm looking forward to exploring it. But it is a long way through it to get to the Creche the intended way, or the expected way, that is. So I'll show you the fast way instead. Up here to the front, we'll have an encounter where we'll see some Githyanki. I don't know of any way to actually engage them. I think you'll be forced into cinematic before you can possibly get them. There. Kobolds in there and up above their Grimishkas. I wonder if it is possible to throw like a, I don't know, a void bulb around the corner and hit someone that way? Maybe? I just want to test if this is actually doable in any possible way.
Action, not reaction. Without
How close can we get? No, no way to get close enough then.
That's enough. On your feet.
They are wearing the necklaces, so they're cultists, but like they're just halflings that are being beaten and abused by these people.
My friend was talking about. We don't have it, and we don't know shit about it.
Silence! Move!
No. No, I'm not going in there. I won't.
Anyone want to join her?
Some Skyrim beginning vibes
As
here.
I thought. Through the doors. Now! The captain is expecting you.
They'll never be seen again. They were, you know, being threatened with torture and things like that, so. You think you're just awful all the time.
These cultists have the Creche on high alert.
At least things have stayed interesting.
I'll come back and do that stuff later on. The gate is blocked, we can't get through there. We have to go through all these kobolds and all kinds of crazy stuff, so we'll not be doing that. Instead, here's a secret path down. I like the music here. I haven't commented much on the game soundtrack because I think it's good, but not like one of my favorites or anything like that. But I really like it for this area. Very melancholy for this ruined sun god temple. Oh, nice. Elixir of Vigilance. Always happy to have those.
What's in here?
Hoping to finally upgrade my wardrobe, but not today, it seems. And then there's... oh, there we go. Those are the vines down. Leading to a secret door there. So skipping all fights, we can get right into the back door of the Creche. A lot easier than exploring the entire temple, for sure. And even it was worth XP to find.
Can't keep me out.
Wow. Double ones to fail with the Spectcast Grace. Let's Thieves Tool it, I guess. So, we can fight through these guys pretty easily. I want to avoid that though, because I want to have the hardest possible fight, which I think will be when the whole place is on alert and they'll join in with the fight from those guys down below. So, I will talk my way past them for now and then come back when I can fight them with a bigger group for a harder fight.
The artifact of feeling stirs. Uncertainty.
Your curiosity is getting the better of you. Do not let it. Stay away from the Githyanki. They're hunting you.
Skvar! Where did you... Journey's over, Istik. It'll be swift.
I think it's not too bright. If 4 people can sneak up on you, 4 people can probably kill you when you're on your own.
Kithrak Therazin is similarly concerned. Perhaps you could be of use to her. Seek her within.
As Yak. No, it was some wolf.
I don't think I've heard this conversation before. Okay, maybe that's all there is to it. Down here, there's a merchant who sells some truly phenomenal things, and I think actually is worth befriending. So let us dispel our disguise. Wait, you actually receive fall damage from that? Come on.
Ugh, blood, rust, squar. Is there no odious substance not smeared on this delivery? I'd heard this plane was disgusting, but I didn't think it would be like this. Most metals here fold like Istiks, much like Istiks themselves.
The Yankee are decent smiths, but they're not really better than like elves or dwarves or whatever. They're kind of on par with them, so just a lot of braggadocio. Alright, let's befriend her. So, who's got gold?
I'd love to, thanks.
I think it's 1,000 at this level. Let me, I don't know, try that just in case. Yeah, another 23 will do it. It is 1,000 at this level. I explained all the details of this back in episode 3. But it's worth it essentially if the price of what you're going to buy multiplied by 0.5, that is the base price, not the asking price that you'll see here, the base price multiplied by 0.5 is equal to the amount you're spending to befriend them. And this is probably going to be that or a little bit above it, most likely. So she sells some fantastic stuff. The Defender Flail is great. It just holding it gives you +1 armor class, which is amazing, and also just holding it makes you take less damage from all incoming attacks of the most common damage types. It's like, you can't do better than that on a ranged character. Just have that in your hand, and you'll be tougher for the rest of the game. This is one of the best short swords in the entire game, I would say. But I'm not really using short swords. I'm not really part of it that does melee attacks, so it's less useful to me, I would say. This part, the Organ of Rearranger still does apply. Even if you're just holding this in your hand while shooting range attacks, you still get lowered critical thresholds, which is nice. But there are better stat-sec options than that, I would say. This is pretty fun too, especially because probably my favorite spell in all of 5th edition is the spell called Shadowblade that has this kind of effect, basically. It's technically in this game, but not really in a very usable, very good way. So, sad that it's not actually in the game, this is sort of an approximation of it. The Rethian's Wrath is another one that has a cool ability you can use once per short rest, so that's no good for me because I don't do enough rests. This is a very good pike. It basically just gives you advantage in all your attacks until you miss an attack, and then you lose it for a little bit. It's pretty great, really. But again, melee attacks are, I think, suboptimal for almost every party, so I'm pure range here, and I plan to stay that way. And certainly having a 200 weapon means you can't be using a shield, which means much more armor class, so that's also a major downside to think about. And here's the other good stuff. These boots are pretty darn solid, just because whenever you cast a spell, which I'm doing pretty often, you get temporary hit points, and you then take the boots off. So basically put the boots on, cast a spell that you're going to cast already, take the boots off, temporary hit points. That's pretty good if people don't have a good way to generate more than 8 themselves to begin with, which most of my party does not have a way to do. So I'm happy to have those. These will be good for my gloves, I said, to give you just +1 to all spell attack rolls, and then also sometimes be able to do them in melee if I need to. It can be buggy, watch out for that, but just the +1 to all spell attack rolls is pretty good. And then these are the real prize here. This is what I've been waiting for. Set dexterity to 18 is incredible. So I definitely want to take that and give it to probably Lei Boingzel to free her up, because you're currently splitting between intelligence and wisdom. I want her to be able to have both. So free up her dexterity will make that easier for her. Since we've already befriended her, we might as well also sell her wares. So let's go ahead and do that.
What a day.
Blacketh's will be done.
Attention!
Okay, and you are out of money at this point, so that's expected. We'll call it good. That should free up some carry weight at least. There's more things left in camp to sell. We'll get around to it. For now, we've done a good job, I think, of getting set up with lots of good items. And I will respec next time, I would say. And I'll, again, as I always do, avoid getting out of healing out of it. You know, I could keep these on you and switch you to have the intelligence hat instead and have you have the... Worth considering, at least. So, gloves for you. Who wants the stick of +1 armor class? It's good for almost anyone. You currently have probably the least impressive boost from that. Just resistance to necrotic, which is a pretty rare damage type. So Defender Flail for you. And then who wants the Gloves of Dexterity? I think we'll go with Lae'zel. She can use the attack boost because she has the problem hitting people with her crossbows because she's not proficient with them. So the generic +1 attack gives would be pretty valuable, and so would the high dexterity. Alright, we'll respec and explore the Creche next time. Thank you for watching, everyone. And a special thank you to my Patreon supporters. Frank Maidens, Master Knight DH, Jackie, and Lino, George Grin, Travis, Carlo Andrea 97, Cthulhu's Mom, Gregory, William Wakefield, Danny Hall, Jeffrey Morse, Just Becca, Jack, Austin Livingston, Mashas01, Jacob Marshall, Nubiana, Till Fisher, Latinx, Discord Colossus, Nicholas Schmuck, Kostya Nesterovich, Vol the Great, Luke Frederick Brune, Goman Blackrock, Dodo King 4, Martian Bialek, Techno Waffle, Mavith, Nebular, I Loop, Michael Francis, Emperor Kong 420, and Robin Maki. Have a great day, everyone.